Ask how it happened. Ask what else you could have done. But don't blame anyone and don't praise yourself or anyone else. And while you're facing the facts, also remember, never lose hope in final success. No matter how difficult the task seems to be, always remember that you will succeed as long as you stay in there long enough. Many times it's amazing how many case histories are there to prove this, that many times the only reason somebody wins is because they were there. The others dropped off by the wayside. Number 2, the learning cycle. Own what happened, accept. The beauty of change is that you cannot change what you do not own. If there is a problem with you and you believe that this problem is really not with you, it is somebody else's fault, then you know the problem, the actual problem there, the problem is that that fault will remain with you forever. You can only change what you own. What you do not own, you cannot change. So if there is something that is bothering you, whether it is your marriage, whether it is your career, whether it is your business, if it is not going the way you want it to go, what is the number one thing to do? First, accept that it is yours. If your marriage is like Scotch whiskey on the rocks, then it's your marriage and you are part of that issue. If you say, no, but you see, it is my mother-in-law's fault, then we're not talking about your mother-in-law's marriage. Your mother-in-law's marriage is fine. It's yours that's in problems. The same applies to your career. You say, well, you know what, my career is going nowhere because I've got this boss who does not like Muslims, or he does not like Muslims with beards, or he does not like Muslim women with hijab. So it's the boss's problem. So guess what? What are you going to do? You're going to resign and you're going to go and get another job. And you know what? You're going to take your problem with you now to the new company. And you will find that this thing repeats and repeats and repeats. And if you don't believe me, ask Elizabeth Taylor. No matter how many husbands you change, if you don't learn the lesson, the problem doesn't go away. It's still there. It's because it's yours. So you have to own it. And once you own it, then you analyze what is it that is going wrong. You fix it, and then you monitor it to see whether it's working fine, and then you go tell others so that others can also benefit. All right? I remind myself and you that the difference between falling and failing is whether or not you decide to get up. Last point on this is make meaning of what is going wrong, analyze the reasons and so on, see how you could have prevented it, see what to do in the future. And always, always, always look to a better future ahead, because if you learn those lessons, then your future indeed will be very good. So never lose hope. If you lose hope, then you won't work. And that's the reason why it's very important. And very important in this keeping the hope alive business is to create immediate working goals. You know, activity is a very good antidote to depression. So anytime you're feeling low, go for a run. You feel much better. Go for a long walk. And create working goals. What do I need to do to starting now? Make a timetable, make a program. As I told you, there are no sure answers for some of these things. So you have to improvise your way through that, whatever turmoil is happening. And you will find that if you do that intelligently, you will find that as you go along, you also learn the lessons you need to learn, and eventually you find success. So improvise your way as you go along. 5 out of 7, relentlessly measure results, first your own. As I told you, measurement is the key to success, and winning is a measurable fact. How do you know which team wins in football or basketball or cricket or whatever? How do you know? In football, how do you know which team wins? Hello? Score, right? Now, supposing you say, well, you know what, forget the score thing. You see how hard I played. I'm covered with mud, and, my shirt, I take it out, I squeeze it, and it's a river of sweat. Yeah? So I should be given, my team should be the team which wins. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. If you didn't score the goals, no matter how hard you worked, you're not a winner. And that's the hard reality of life. It's a numbers game. So you want to be a winner, learn to count. And that's why measurement is very important. 6 out of 7, empower people. I can't emphasize this more. Believe me, in the 97 years that I have lived, and in the hundreds of thousands of people that I have trained, and that last one is actually true, one thing I have learned, and that is that it's not only elephants who have long memories, so also people. And just like elephants, or unlike elephants, the people tend to remember only the nasty facts. The good is forgotten, taken for granted. And that's why there's a wonderful saying. They say, friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. They say, friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. So don't make enemies. And you'll be surprised how many people make enemies on a regular basis. And when I say enemies, I don't mean necessarily enemies as in somebody wanting to kill you, no. But people who you do the wrong by for no rhyme or reason. So you've got a person here who feels he has been used. You've got a person there who feels that you disregarded them. You've got a person there who feels that you took away something that belonged to them. And it all adds up. It all adds up. Build goodwill. I was 19 years old when I had my first job in South America in the middle of nowhere in the rainforest, and my boss was a man called Nick Adams, and he taught me a lesson. He taught me many lessons. One of the first ones he taught me, which stayed with me all these years now, he told me life is a bank account. What you put in there is what you have. And when you need it, you only got what you put in there. And when do you put it in? When you don't need it. So that it's there when you need it. Now what am I talking about? Not money. I'm talking about goodwill. I'm talking about good relationships. He said, be nice to people when you don't need them. Be nice to people when that person is somebody you probably will never see for the rest of your life. Be nice to people when they mean nothing, because the day will come when you will need them. And then it will be there. And it's very amazing in life. I have seen many times. In my other incarnation, I am a business consultant. And a lot of my business I have got from people indirectly, referred by various people, various other people. So now here is a person who is a friend of mine. He never gave me any business directly, but he referred me to 10 other people who gave me business. Now I didn't make friends with him because he will give me business. I just made friends with him because I'm a nice guy, believe it or not. So it's very important how we treat people. And 2 words which sometimes we forget in our vocabulary, in some cases they don't exist, in some other cases we forget them. And those, what are the 2 words? Thank you and sorry. Very important. 2 extremely important words. If you do something wrong, apologize. Absolutely, apologize. It is simpler and cheaper and less painful to apologize immediately than to live with that for the rest of your life. And believe me, as I told you, people have got very long memories when it comes to negative stuff. They'll never forget the negative stuff. Say one wrong thing and that will stay with that guy in his mind for the rest of his life. That's the reality. We can't help that. That's how life is. One of the things I teach is customer service, and I tell people, one day in one of my workshops, a man, they say the customer is king. Somebody said, customer is God. I said, customer is not God. He said, why not? I said, because God forgives, customers don't. And the same thing applies to people. So be respectful to people. Nobody complains with getting too much respect. People can complain about getting too little respect. So go over the top. You don't have to look at somebody and say, Your Holiness, I am at your feet. It's not necessary to say that, but be nice to people. I mean, be respectful. Very important, listen. Do you know the difference between hearing and listening? Yes or no? Let me see if you know the difference between hearing and listening. Quick exercise. Please put out your right hand. Do it fast. Put out your right hand. Put out your right hand. Go on, man, move. Put out your right hand. I want you to do that. Do what I'm doing. Put out your right hand. Do what I'm doing. Put out your right hand. Hold your nose. How many wrong? I said, do what I am doing. I said, hold your nose, and I did this, and you all held your nose. The difference between listening and hearing. All right? And do remember, a show of respect is not respect. People feel love. They feel respect. You can't pretend to like somebody. It doesn't work. Last one, challenge yourself. Believe me, no one dies of hard work. Challenge yourself. Push yourself. You never know the best you can do. Push yourself. Go over the top and you suddenly discover, oh, I could do this as well. Very nice. Now, new target. The most powerful limit is in the mind. I don't know how many of you have actually seen this, and that's why I've said the elephant is tied with a coil rope. Those of you from India, anybody from India here? I don't mean your ancient fathers, forefathers. I'm talking about India. If those of you are from India, even if you're not from India, take my word for it. I'm not lying. You know what they do if you've ever been to an elephant training camp, and if you haven't been to an elephant training camp, I hereby extend to you an invitation to come and visit me, and I'll take you to an elephant training camp. What they do is they have these little elephant calves. So it's about maybe 2-year-old, 3-year-old, is about this big. He goes out with his mother grazing and so on. When he comes back in the evening, they tie him with the right hind leg with a coconut coir rope. Regular coconut coir rope is about that thick, and they tie him to the stake. Now that little one, he doesn't like being tied. So he fights it. So he will kick and he will pull and scream and squeal and do all sorts of stuff. But the rope is too strong for him. It's a thick rope, right? So he can't break it. At that age, at that size, he doesn't have the strength to break that rope. You know, something happens to him after a while. And you know what that thing is? He believes that he cannot break that rope. And then you'll be amazed. You see these huge animals. You see a big male Asiatic elephant is smaller than an African elephant, but even a big male Asiatic elephant weighs close to 5 tons. It stands almost 12 feet at the shoulder.